Welcome to Wednesday Night Live from the Basement. Here's your hosts, Rob, Daryl, and Joe.
Good evening, everybody. It's Wednesday. Welcome to the basement. I'm joined, as always, by Joe and Daryl. We have our esteemed special guest this week, Brian from Embryonic Robot. How you doing, gentlemen?
Good. Doing well. Always nice to have Brian on with us.
Yes.
Class to join up a little bit. Not that you guys aren't classy, but
Well,
yeah.
I've never been accused of being classy.
Neither have I, really, to be honest.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Fine.
Brian's the intellectual of the group, so there you go.
Yeah.
Evening, Trevor. How you doing, my friend? Welcome.
Good evening, Trevor.
Evening.
Trevor's probably enjoying the nice Pacific Northwest weather.
Yeah. So, well, aren't we a talkative bunch? This is probably not going to work well if we all just sit here and go, oh, man.
The hell do we have to talk about? The weather.
Yeah.
We've already talked about it. It's snowing. We're in Canada. So
I thought you were going to mention the countdown to spring training or something.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to go that way, full squad workouts start on the 16th of February, which is essentially a month and a day from today. So I'm very excited. And this is just total coincidence, of course, that I'm, decked out. I'm looking forward to it. It's 6 weeks until the first spring training game, which I think is around like the 22nd or something like that of February. So that's exciting. We still haven't decided whether we're going to sign Bichette or we're going to sign Tucker or sign neither of them. So,
well, they spent a little bit of money on their trip to Japan. So,
yes, Yamamoto, these $300 million or something like that. So
something like that. Yeah. So
all of that is good, and we need a power bat, whether that's Bichette or Tucker. We need one of the two. But the thing that distresses me about it all is we did not get ourselves a closer.
Yeah.
And I think about that, and I go, I seem to recall being in the top of the ninth of Game 7 of the World Series with needing 3 outs to win the World Series, and we bring in our closer, who's known for giving up ninth inning home runs.
Yeah.
What did he do? Gave up a ninth inning home run. And what did we do? Lose the World Series. So if anything, we should have been looking for a closer in the offseason.
I agree with you. I agree.
Very frustrating. No disrespect to Hoffman. I mean, a lot of pressure, but you proved you're not the closer.
Mm-hmm.
Your job is to get 3 outs in the ninth. And it's one thing to not get your 3 outs, and it's one thing to lose the odd game. But if you have shown a repeated pattern of giving up ninth inning home runs, you are not a closer.
correct.
Mm-hmm. I
agree. Yeah.
I'll get off my soapbox now because no one gives a shit.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is. So, yes, 1 month until spring training. I don't care about football. I don't care about hockey this year. So,
And your buddy Mattingly's gone too now.
yeah, I mean, I was a little surprised at that initially because, believe it or not, I mean, Mattingly, one of the best first basemen of the 1980s, should be in the Hall of Fame. He's not, shockingly. This was his first World Series.
Mm-hmm.
And when I heard that, I'm like, there's no way, but it's true.
Yeah.
And I mean, we stand a reasonably good shot of possibly making it back to the World Series next year. Maybe. I mean, one of the favored teams. So I would have thought he would have stuck around. So I'm like, why would he go to Philly? And then I read that his son is the general manager of Philadelphia.
Right.
That helps. I guess.
So,
Yeah.
go work for your son, right? Why not?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think he was doing much, right? I mean, he was the offensive coordinator 2 years ago when we finished dead last. So this year he was just a coach. Like, he didn't really have a role. I think he was there to maybe offer some guidance to John Schneider, who hadn't managed in the majors when he took the job years ago or whatever. So I think he was just kind of there as a mentor to John Schneider, and Schneider's proved that, he could do the job. So I guess there's nothing really for Mattingly to do. I guess that's why he moved on. I don't know. We'll find out. But this is a show about music and records. So.
Schneider almost got all of the games that he could get in one season because they were I can't remember. We didn't go to 5 with the Yankees, right? Or did we? Anyway, it doesn't really matter because you're right. We're not here to talk about baseball, but there was a lot of games played by the Jays this last year, so he's good.
Thank you, Mike. Give Patty a hug for me. That's awesome. Thank you. And there's Richard. Welcome, Richard. How you doing?
Good evening, Richard.
Hello.
Good evening.
Do we have anything music to talk about? I don't know. Is there anything new and exciting going on?
Well, here, let me do one thing. Let me do one thing. We'll get this out of the way here. Let's do
your thing. I know what you're going to do. My favorite thing about that, we lost Brian. Where did Brian go? There's Brian.
Oh,
Brian disappeared.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about that is those wonderful cartoons of Daryl and I.
I like those. Yeah, I like those.
I showed my son and he laughed his ass off.
Thought that was okay, did he? Yeah, well, that's good. That's good.
Damn commercials, Richard. If you don't want commercials, you gotta pay for the commercial free service.
It's different if it's a promo versus a commercial.
Right.
Maybe. Sure, let's go with that.
That's right.
And yes, there we'll talk about some music. Bob Weir. Let's.
Well, hold on. We got to welcome our favorite Austrian, Rob Walker.
That's right. Good day, mate.
Yeah, Bob Weir. That's I mean, I'm not a Dead fan, but that's a pretty big loss. Is there any of them left? I don't know that there is.
Original lineup? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that might be it. Is it?
I mean, because
Yeah,
the lineup is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But of the original, I think he was the last. I think
He might have been, or the second. He was either the last or the second, because much like yourself, I don't know if you call yourself a casual Dead fan. I don't mind hearing a little bit of their music every once in a while, but I don't necessarily seek it out for sure.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if I heard it, it would be fine, but I don't own any of it.
yeah, that's a great way of putting it. Yeah.
So, yeah, unfortunately, I mean, this is a trend. I think that's just going to get more. We're going to see more because all of these guys are getting older and older and older and older. So, I guess the question is he gratefully dead now? I don't know. Is it too soon to make that joke? I mean,
No.
It might be.
No.
I'll be right back.
I think he would laugh at that joke, right?
He,
I think he would.
He
I
would.
think he would. I think he would. So. Let's see here. Let's talk about Canada's latest and greatest export. I will talk about the beaches all day long. Brian, you know the beaches. They're from your neck of the woods in Toronto.
Yeah, I mean, I know them. I've only heard a couple tracks, though, to be honest.
Love the
So I'm
beaches.
not really. Yeah.
Angry lesbian rock. It's friggin' fantastic.
Did they invent the genre?
I think so. I need to get their newest album. I've got the one before. It's fantastic.
So how do you describe it? Is it like indie or is it like, would you call it rock? Like, is it
It's rock.
rock, like guitars and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. They have 2 guitar players, bass player and a drummer. Joe's got the most recent album, right? By the Beaches.
Yeah, there's a couple of them over there. I always point over there because that's where my newest stuff that I need to listen to bins are. So when I point over there, that's why it's over there. But yeah, I've got all but their first one. I don't know why. I know why, because it was out of stock at my supplier and I just haven't found a used one yet. But I like them. They're good for sure. And they're going to get better, I think. I think their writing's pretty solid. They're a very solid live band. So, if they want, I think they'll be able to extend their career for a while and do okay.
When you walked away, I described them as great angry lesbian rock.
100%. Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that they would be comfortable with that because there's album or there's song titles somewhat related to that on the albums. But yeah, it's good, and that's an apt way of putting it for sure. So,
Yeah,
I think
they're fantastic. I'd love to see them live. I think they're great. Which shouldn't be hard. I mean, they're from Toronto, so it's not like, hey, I'm close by. So.
yeah. Cool. They and again, yeah, they were very good live. So and they're starting to do a lot of back and forth, maybe starting to do some of their own headlining tours as well in smaller venues. They're not playing arenas yet by any means, but they might be in a bit. Didn't they open for the Stones? I thought they opened.
Yeah, they did a couple shows. Yeah,
right? Yeah,
2 shows.
So, yeah.
That's a pretty big platform.
Yeah, that'll work. Sure. Yeah.
Any new records coming out here? Buy anything recently? It's exciting.
Well, I don't know if he's in the comment section. I don't think so because I haven't seen him. But I finally got this from Wales in the mail.
Hey, there it is.
Yeah.
I got one over there.
Stereophonics, Decade in the Sun. So best of. So I got that.
Oh,
I haven't
greatest hits.
taken the shrink off. And the other thing that he sent me, he sent it with it. He sent me a slip mat.
Nice.
Oh, that's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah, so that was nice of him to send that all the way to Wales. Greatest hit. Hey, you can't go wrong with the greatest hits. I mean, that's
That's right. I talked to him earlier today. I don't know where he is. He's been doing some new stuff lately, so I don't know. Maybe he's actually sleeping at 2 in the morning. I think he switched jobs again. So yeah.
Richard says he's bought nothing this month, and this is funny. I've not bought any records, but I bought a couple. I bought 3 CDs.
Whoa.
Wow.
And I have not bought CDs in forever. And so one of them sitting right here. I was listening to a CD by an artist whose none of her albums are on vinyl. And there's a whole group of these type of musicians that they're not on record contracts anymore. Their CDs aren't printed anymore. They're not on vinyl. And it's like, I got to buy them used off eBay if I want to get the music. So I was listening to Melanie Doan, who is from, I don't know if she's from out east. I think she lives in Toronto now. She had some hits in the 90s and the early 2000s. She's a guitar player. She's also a fiddle player. And she had this great album called Adam's Rib, and I fucking love it. One of my favorite 90s records. And I thought, I have never heard any of her other stuff, and I know it's not on vinyl. So I bought a couple of her used CDs off eBay. One of them showed up today. I'm waiting for another one. And then I'm a big fan of Davnit Doyle, she's a radio host on CBC now. But she had an album from a few years ago that I absolutely love. But her early catalog, again, the CDs are long out of print. So I think I spent like $10 to buy these 3 used CDs of great Canadian female rock that is, I don't want to say in danger of disappearing, but
yeah,
where do you get it? I mean, you can stream it, I suppose.
That's true. Yeah.
So
I'd like to say that Melanie Doan is someone I used to know because she's actually been to my house because my eldest daughter went to the same preschool, so we connected there. So we've been, she's been to my house many times, but not for probably 15 years, and I've moved since then. So,
also
she has an interesting Toronto connection that continues to this day in that she runs a ukulele
school. Yeah,
so they're actually teaching at my other kids' school. So I don't know if Melanie comes to that, but one of her co-teachers is often there.
She's actually doing a show this month at Hughes Room in Toronto.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
And I thought about going, but I'm like, I hate driving to Toronto.
Yeah, I've heard this.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I was there today for work, and I'm there almost every day for work. But the thought of, going downtown or whatever, no.
Yeah.
And then being out of my house after 8:00 at night, that's insanity. So that's very cool that Melanie. That's awesome.
Well, the thing is, I was wondering when this connection with our school, if she would even remember. I'm sure she would remember me. She might not recognize me, but she would remember because it's been a long time. But
that's cool.
That's pretty
very cool.
I watched a good documentary last night, and Brian, you may be familiar with. You guys might both be a little young. Did you watch the CFNY?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Spirit of Radio, really good, actually, really good. I mean, I obviously didn't listen to the station back in the day. I was around during that time frame, but it didn't have quite the reach. It got the golden reach. It got a little better once they put the broadcast tower up on the tower. But yeah, it's a very interesting, cool documentary about a Toronto radio station that was at the forefront of the new wave. For those that are not familiar with it, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was well done. Probably again yourself more meaningful to you based on the fact that you knew the jocks that were on the documentary and listened to them and were there for that station. So
yeah, I didn't know about this. I will not claim that I knew the station in the first few years because the broadcast signal wasn't long enough. But there's this epic moment in my life where this friend comes over and he just changes this station on my stereo to this other station. It's like, what is this? And I sort of became like in two camps, and I was really interested in that station for a long time. I've said before, I think it's the best radio station I've ever heard. Best radio station in the world, let's say. But it was pretty good. It was a little short, but I know I heard an interview with Alan Cross later, and he said, one of the issues they faced was licensing the music, which is why it's geo-blocked in the States apparently, because he spent like $250,000 for rights, and they wanted songs in it that they couldn't get, and then they have more clips that they could use, but maybe he suggested that maybe there'll be something else coming out, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen. But it was really good, I thought.
So they probably have some more interviews where someone's talking about a specific band and they wanted to show said band.
Exactly.
But yeah, if you're out there, folks, give it a view. It's on YouTube and it's free to watch on YouTube. I'm sure with other places as well. You might not be able to find it if you're in the United States, but the Brits, I think, should be able to find it. And of course, other Canadians, CFNY 102.1, I believe, the Spirit of Radio, and no spoilers, but it explains what, just watch it. It's good. I really enjoyed it. I think if you're a music fan, you would really enjoy it, especially if you know the station. So,
yeah. Agreed.
That's my CD that showed up today. Isn't she a firecracker? Good Lord.
There you go.
Good album. Good album. What did I miss here? Yes, the Beaches are great Canadian female rock. Agreed. Trevor saying, I haven't bought any albums so far. Did buy my first Blu-ray in years. A documentary on Harley Flanagan of the Cro-Mags. Good movie. Curtis is tuning in.
You think?
Absolutely. Guys, here we go. Great Canadian female rock. That would be a fantastic topic for a video.
I think we could probably pull that off, I would imagine. So,
and I thought you were going to go in the direction of baseball songs or something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I don't know if I could pull that one off.
Really?
Maybe. I don't know if I have enough female rockers.
I could absolutely do it. And if I use some CDs like those, absolutely I could.
We'll come up with something. So
Rob's going to watch that. All right.
Good. Yeah, do, Rob. I think you'll enjoy it because it'll be a lot of bands that you'll be familiar with and then wrapped around the story of a radio station. So very cool. I enjoyed it. So.
Yep. I guess that's all we got to talk about, eh?
Yeah, well, looking forward to later. That'll be fun. We played the promo. You guys will be the full-time guests, and then we'll have someone else on. And I got a bunch of questions. I've got 12 different packages of questions ready to go for the next 6 months. I just got stuff in my head and I had to get it out, so I built a whole bunch of stuff. And
Daryl absolutely destroyed me in the test we did last week. Like it was humiliatingly bad.
Well, yeah, that was.
But it wasn't music questions, so
no.
Yeah,
and my buzzer stopped working, and Joe ignored all my formal protests. So
I did. I didn't ignore your formal protests. They're still under review.
They're under review.
And if you go back and I don't know if we can watch it. I think you got it up there. Just so everybody's aware, Rob proclaims to have an American history degree.
I do. I'll go pull it off the wall and show you if you want.
I'll show you my degree, you bastards, if you like. Yeah. So, and Scott will be joining us. DJ Vinyl Vertigo will be joining us later. So it'll be fun. 9:30, half an hour after we finish up here. So there you go.
10:30 Eastern for those in Ontario.
Correct. Yes, That's right. Yeah, I keep telling my time, but yes.
All right. So we're talking storytellers tonight, which Initially, I went, that's a fantastic idea. Singer-songwriters that are good at telling stories. And I thought that was a marvelous idea until I started pulling records tonight. And I'm quite surprised. Maybe I made my criteria a little too tight for what makes a good storytelling singer-songwriter. But I had a hard time with this one. So I think I got enough for the whole show tonight, but we'll see.
Looks like you got it. Yeah, it looks like you got a few there. So
I think I got like maybe 10. So
yeah,
we'll see how it goes. Brian is our honored guest. So as always, our honored guest goes first.
All right. Good to know.
Show us some Leonard Cohen or some whatever.
Well, when you said the topic storytellers, I was thinking in my mind, is this like stories that are true or stories that are fiction? That was the first.
Whatever you want.
And then I went with these are kind of in order in the way I thought of them. So the first guy I pulled out was Stan Ridgway. Now Stan Ridgway, if you don't know, used to be the lead singer of Wall of Voodoo, and then he left and was replaced by Andy Pryboy. He's released a number of solo records, and they're kind of characterized by kind of like a film noir feeling. So on this particular record, The Big Heat, there was actually a song called The Big Heat, which kind of fits in kind of like a detective novel kind of thing, perhaps, about following people. But there's a couple of songs that really drive home the notion of why this is a storytelling song. One is a track called Drive, She Said, where this guy, he's told from the perspective of a cab driver who is sitting there waiting for fares, and this woman gets into his car, just tells him to drive. Like she's obviously fleeing from something, and the whole song is about what he experiences on this drive. By the way, there's Stan again there, and eventually she just sort of leaves. But the whole thing is actually a story from start to finish about how this woman gets into his car. The other track that gets a lot of attention here is probably Camouflage, which is the last track, which is a song I really dislike, but it kind of fits the whole storytelling theme because it's told from the perspective of a soldier who has died in Vietnam, and he comes back as kind of like a ghost to save another Marine, which I think is ridiculous. David Atkinson in England always argues about this track with me because he really likes it. But the whole album itself, like, you know, even Salesman, it's about this guy driving around selling stuff as like a door-to-door salesman. It's all very interesting. It's all very film noir. And he continued this kind of style, I guess, for various later records. I don't know many of the, I know the next one and possibly the one after that, but even the image, even this sort of cover image kind of gives you the sense of what this album's really about. It's kind of like, I said film noir already. That's kind of like the film noir, the ordinary aspect of life in some respects, but also these things like someone telling him he thinks she has a gun, so he's got to keep driving, that kind of thing. I find it very interesting. And yeah, I don't know. That's my first one.
It's a good start.
Yeah, is it sung all the time, or does he narrate a little bit in it, or because it sounds like something that maybe there'd be some narration in a little bit? But
no, it's sung. He definitely sings. He's got a quirky voice. If you know Mexican Radio, the song from Wall of Voodoo, you'll get the sense of his sound. But yeah, he definitely sings in a strange Americana way, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but very interesting.
Cool, that's good.
All right, I would ask Joe and Daryl who'd go next, but Joe would always say Daryl. So Daryl.
Beauty before age.
This T-shirt is not by accident.
Oh God.
Joe gave me an idea for later, so I'll get to that later. But actually, the first musician that came to mind on this one, and I wouldn't say that he's a full-on storyteller, but he has songs that definitely have stories told. And I always find that the country music genre kind of does the storytelling thing. But the first song that came to mind when it came to telling a story, if I can get this out of here, was Coward of the County and Kenny Rogers. Just a full-on story about, you know, a guy who had been bullied all his way through elementary and high school, and he meets a girl, and now he's in the bar, and the Gatlin bullies start bullying him in the bar, and then he just turns around, locks the door, and beats the crap out of them in the bar. And you know, after his father, who was you know, in and out of jail his whole life, and his father got him to promise that he would never fight his battles in a physical way. But then he, at the very end of the song, he apologizes to his father in heaven. But sometimes you just got to take a stand when you're a man.
That's right.
And that was the first track that came to mind was Kenny Rogers, and my second choice is going to be a country one as well. But I find that country music does tell a story. Do tell stories. Not all country musicians do, and I probably could have went with The Gambler as well from Kenny Rogers as well, which tells a story. But I went with Coward of the County because it's my favorite Kenny song. So that's where we'll go.
All right.
Yeah, really, all three, the big three crossovers that Kenny had, of course, that, and then Lucille as well could be all of that. So yeah, I like a little Kenny every once in a while. I'd probably take Coward of the County of the three though, for sure. So First Edition's good too. I don't know how much you listened to the First Edition, where the band he was before that with just dropped in and that type of stuff. I like that version of Kenny Rogers much more than the country version of, but anyway, yeah. Okay, guy I'm going to start with is one of my all-time favorites, and I've mentioned that before. And when I thought of this guy right away, and he could fall into pretty much, you could make any of his albums and take any of the songs, and they will tell a story for the most part. Like even Copperhead Road has a progression through from when Dad went to Vietnam and then he went to Vietnam. But I pulled out this one because this one has Billy Austin on it. And probably one of my favorite songs that I've ever seen performed live. And it was just Steve playing his guitar and singing, but it just really hit me really well that evening. Obviously talks about a guy who didn't plan on doing what he did and then going to jail. And, it's kind of a somewhat typical Steve Earle song, but really, really good. And again, just a guy that can write a really good story. You'd be somewhat hard pressed to find any of his albums or any of his songs almost that word story like. And in the end, all songs are stories to a certain extent, and I get that. But what I mean and what I was thinking of was more of, it has a start, a finish, and an end. They all have a story to them, obviously, to the songwriter. But Billy Austin, again, just a really, really good song. Steve and his acoustic guitar, and away you go. So that's where I'd like to start this evening.
Okay. Any guesses what I'm going to show first? Which was probably the inspiration, which was probably what you saw in my vinyl tag that made you think of this.
I think it was, yeah.
Tragically hit, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be tragically hit, not a chance. All right. For the 487th time, I'm going to show this album.
That is 100% the inspiration. Yeah. Because
I think this is the best storytelling album I've ever heard in my entire life, and it's one of the best albums I've ever heard in my entire life. Adam Baldwin, Concertos and Serenades. Like I said, for the 487th time, there's Adam right there walking down the Causeway Road, which is actually a name of one of the songs in here. So for those that haven't heard me talk about this album 487 times, Adam's a singer-songwriter from Nova Scotia, very Springsteen inspired, has some rock albums, but this is a folk record inspired by another guy that I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. These are a collection of songs about this sort of gritty, difficult life in Eastern Canada. And there are 8 songs on here. A couple examples. There's a song called Causeway Road, which, like I said, that is the Causeway Road in Eastern Passage, Nova Scotia. Causeway Road, Adam wrote because he'd heard the folk tale of a guy named Danny Fingers who his brother was killed in a fishing accident because he was sold a boat that was essentially defective. And Danny sought revenge on the guy that sold it to his family. And it went horribly awry. Danny lost some fingers, hence the name. And Adam wrote the song, put it on the album. And when he moved into his new house, he had a neighbor who just so happened to be Danny Fingers. His name is actually Donnie. So Donnie had heard that Adam had written this song. They became good friends, and they are good friends. And the song is largely true. I think it's embellished somewhat for the song, but it's largely true. There's other great storytelling songs. There's another song called Number Two Colliery. It is based on a coal mining disaster that happened in Nova Scotia in the earlier part of the 20th century. And it's a fictitious account of someone in that real life event. There's a song here about a guy working at a gas station. That gas station really existed. It's not there anymore. There's a song on here called The Lighthouse in Little Lorraine, which is based on a urban legend of drug runners that were smuggling cocaine from Boston up to Nova Scotia. Parts of it are true, parts of it are not. This is The Lighthouse in Little Lorraine. It is only 10 feet tall. It's not very large. Adam has received some emails from whoever's responsible for the lighthouses in Nova Scotia, but because of this album, people keep coming and stealing the green light. So he tells people at his concert, please don't go steal the light from the lighthouse in Little Lorraine because I'm getting in shit for it. There's a great song in here called The Voice of the Eastern Passage. It's a tribute to a guy that founded a community radio station in Eastern Passage, Nova Scotia. That's kind of the beacon for everyone, out in the boats, that as soon as you sort of catch the radio signal, you're on your way home. And same if you're driving, through the countryside or whatever. So there's a lot of true stories on here. I've been to Nova Scotia once in my life, but having listened to this album 4,000 times, I feel like I know the place. Like, he's that good. Like, you can see these places that he's visited. So there's actually now a feature film based on The Lighthouse in Little Lorraine that debuted at TIFF. They're showing it at the upcoming Vancouver Film Festival. I can't wait to see it. So an incredible storytelling record, and the record that inspired the topic for this evening. So,
well, and you know what? From a guy that has heard the story, let's say 350 times of your 400 and some times, you do add something each time you tell it, because there's some new information that I hadn't heard in there. So, and
you still have not heard it.
Yeah. No, I haven't. But it's on my shelf at my record supplier. I'm just waiting for other stuff to come in so that I can get it in. Because
did you order it already?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, God damn it! Because I just picked up a copy I was going to send to you.
Yeah.
Well, then I'll have to send it to Daryl then.
Well, there you go. Exactly. So, and you know what? If you find one new person that didn't know about it, then it's all worth it. Even though Richard knows about it and Trevor knows, you'll find there'll be one new person that'll watch this that will now be interested in Adam Baldwin.
But everyone else is going, oh God, he's talking about this guy again. Shut up.
No, but like I said, there was new information this time, and I've heard it. I've heard it lots, and I don't have a problem with it. But there was new information this time, so it's good.
Yeah. So there you go.
Very good.
Okay. Let's go back to the top again. Let's go back to Brian.
Right. So I'm going to show an artist that everyone expects me to show. So let me just do it. That is Bruce Cockburn.
Shocking.
And this is Stealing Fire from 1984. Best known for the single Lovers in a Dangerous Time, which you may know. I picked this copy because I love this hype sticker where it tells you how to properly pronounce Bruce's surname, so Cockburn, rather than what you might be tempted to say.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anybody knows this. Well, maybe people know that he went on several fact-finding missions. He's been to Central America a couple of times. He went to Mozambique. He went to Southeast Asia, always, with an eye to, sometimes funded by the government just to see what's going on. And so this record is largely informed by a trip to Central America, Guatemala, Nicaragua, etc. So on this record, apart from the single, we have a few songs that really, he is a storyteller, always has been, but there's some that are really have a really strong narrative structure. For example, this one doesn't take place in Nicaragua, though. It's Peggy's Kitchen Wall, which actually is set in, apparently a true story, set in Kensington Market in Toronto, where this woman finds that someone shot a hole in her wall. So the window's broken, there's a hole in her plaster, and the police come. So that's really all the song is about, but it's told in a very story-like way. Like, she woke up, heard the shatter of glass, he sings this refrain of who put the bullet hole in Peggy's kitchen wall. The police come, they investigate, that kind of thing. But there's a couple of songs in here that have more of a Central American feel. One is Dust and Diesel, which is a song I really love because it's very simple. He just talks about getting on a truck, They're driving. They talks about the things they see on the way. They see a woman directing traffic who's got a 45 strapped to her dress. They see some corn that's fallen off a truck. They pick it up. They stop and have some drinks with the other person whose truck has broken down. It's sort of like a very, again, simple narrative song, not political really in any way, but kind of a cool track. And then, well, the other one, of course, is the probably the most notorious or famous song on this record, "If I Had a Rocket Launcher," which again tells a story about how he sees these helicopters crossing the border to attack a refugee camp. So that's the song, and he becomes quite angry, and it talks about how if he had a rocket launcher, he'd fight back. But many of these songs really tell a story, but those three in particular really say something. And of course, on other records, he does tell stories about various things. There's a song called "Mines of Mozambique," things like that. So he does, retain that sort of, narrative structure in many of his songs, which I think is pretty cool. I mean, not everyone agrees with his politics, but he's also probably one of the best guitar players I've heard. So there's that.
And still out and performing, I believe, is he not?
Definitely, yes. He's just about to turn 80, I think, or he's close to 80. He is, or he's in a studio, but I don't know what he's doing there. But yeah, definitely performing. But he said, by his own admission, he can't play some of the old songs because of arthritis. So,
yeah.
I don't think at 80 anyone can fault him for that.
No,
that's right.
I can promise you, at 80, I'm not working.
True. Me neither.
Yeah,
I would retire tomorrow if I could. But
right.
Okay, Daryl.
I think that's a statement that's in my brain every day, Rob. If I could retire tomorrow, I would.
Yep. Not a day goes by.
All right. So I think I've shown this before once. My favorite thing about this album has to be the overalls that this guy is wearing in the cover, but I'm pretty sure, in fact, I'm almost 100% sure that an entire scene from a 1980s film was actually inspired by this particular song. It's been covered many times, and this is what I would call like true 60s country music for sure. It's not going to get any more country music than this. It is not Johnny Cash, but there's a scene in a movie by an actor that my wife absolutely despises, which is Pee Wee Herman. And it's the Large Marge scene. The Large Marge scene. And there's a song by Red Sovine called Phantom 309, which is exactly that entire scene. It's a guy that's hitchhiking on the highway in the middle of the night, and a transport truck comes by and picks him up and gives him a drive to the next restaurant, gas station, or whatever you want to call it. And then it turns out that the truck driver is just a friendly ghost who had died in a crash years previous. And when he goes into the truck stop and tells them that obviously in Pee Wee Herman, Large Marge sent me, everybody freaks out because Large Marge was dead and he got a drive by a ghost driver. So essentially this and that entire song is Large Marge scene. It's pretty crazy. But my favorite thing has to be the whole working man thing in the old 1960s transport in the background that you're never going to see ever again because it'd be too slow on the 401.
Yeah.
And just the fact that he's in like one of those old mechanics uniforms, hitchhiking with his country guitar on the side of the highway. And then there's some other tracks on here like Bumming Around. We've all met people like that, bumming around, and Vietnam, Deck of Cards, Lifetime to Regret. These are all story songs. But speaking of king of storytelling, on the backside of this is one of those albums where it has all the other albums that you can buy from the Birchmount album. But there's, Johnny Cash up there and a few of the other country bests on the back of the album cover. So
the best of the Love and
Spoon.
I
thought I'd bring this out. Like the 401 is fast.
Listen, Trevor, as a guy who's on the 401 at least twice a day, every day, if you're outside of Toronto, it's fast. If you're not doing $130, get the fuck off the highway.
Mm-hmm. Move.
If you're in Toronto, you might as well walk.
That's true.
That pretty fair assessment, Brian?
I think that's accurate.
Yeah, exactly. Brian, tuning in from Tokyo. Welcome, my friend. How you doing?
Good evening, Brian.
Hey,
We're talking
Good evening, or I guess
storytelling.
in Brian's world is good morning.
Yeah,
True.
Yeah.
Happy Thursday. Okay.
I think I'm not positive. I thought I saw something in the last couple of days. It was actually the death date of Large Marge, early January. I think it's like not obviously 2026, but I think it was like January 7th or 8th, something like that. And then I was at and or near the truck stop where that happens, where Pee-wee's with the dinosaurs in the background. I actually was at those dinosaurs a couple years ago when I went to California.
When I was little, that Large Marge scene actually used to scare the crap out of me when her eyeballs go flying out overhead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I like Pee-wee. I like the movie, actually. So, okay.
Thankfully, I've never seen it.
I won't do my Pee-wee impression. Okay. You said it's not going to be Johnny Cash. It is going to be Johnny Cash for me. So I'm not sure if you're going to get to some Johnny or not, but I was going to go with A Boy Named Sue, which without fact checking, I think is his only number one song, at least on maybe on the Hot 100 or something like that. But anyway, the one I chose on here, and again, with Johnny, much like Steve Earle, it's almost all storytelling to a certain extent, not always. But the one that I went with on here is One Piece at a Time. And for those that are not familiar with the song, basically, he's going to build himself a Cadillac because he doesn't have the money, but he starts working at a GM plant. And then as the story progresses, he starts stealing all these parts and he makes the car at the end. But the car doesn't match because it's a 59 transmission and a 70 door. And it's a fun song. It's a cool song. And I listened to it today and it's a pretty good album. I like Johnny Cash, but yeah, One Piece at a Time goes back a while ago now. This is 1976 and a little different for him. Not his standard, Cry, Cry, Cry or Ring of Fire, but One Piece at a Time. So look it up. It's pretty good. And it is Johnny Cash and the Tennessee Three on this one. So he still had the boys with him. Not still, I think at that point. It was always Johnny Cash and the Tennessee Three. That one doesn't get said all that often. Not like Springsteen and the E Street Band. It just kind of flows. But there was always the Tennessee Three were always around for him. So I like Johnny.
Okay.
Johnny's good.
Yeah.
Daryl inspired me. So I don't know that a lot of people know this guy, Ardeen Taylor.
Yep.
You know, Brian?
I know the name. I think that's about it, though.
From Toronto, if I'm not mistaken. He was, I believe, the first white staff songwriter on the Motown label.
Really?
But he also was kind of a folk singer. So his big claim to fame is the song Indiana Wants Me. So that's when Daryl had the guy getting picked up by a trucker. Indiana Wants Me is kind of a trucker, kind of song. It's a guy being wanted by the police. It tells the whole story of the police chase. And then there's another song that I always loved on here as a kid called Gotta See Jane. And it's about a guy driving through this wicked rainstorm and, can't see a damn thing, but he's going anyway because he's got to see his girl named Jane. And it's just a good singer-songwriter that not a lot of people know about. So wrote a ton of hits for Motown, but wrote a couple for himself. So.
Yeah, it's good.
Indiana Wants Me is a fantastic song.
Right?
Yeah.
Police with the police sirens and everything in it.
That's right.
Going at the end. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So
I just remember when I was a kid and we had an oldies radio station in my town. And I remember always hearing Gotta See Jane. I'm like, man, I love that song. And I had no idea that Indiana Wants Me was him. And I happened to be at a record show, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. And I saw this in a dollar bin, dollar bin, still getting over my cold. And I saw Ardeen Taylor. I'm like, shit, I wonder if that's got Gotta See Jane on it. And it did. I'm like, I didn't know that he also did Indiana Wants Me. The other thing that's interesting on here is he covered Two of Us, the Beatles song that was on, from Let It Be. He does a cover of it, which is kind of interesting. So
yeah, it's a good listen. The album's a pretty good listen, actually. Not lots, but for sure. every once in a while, oh yeah, I'm in that kind of 70s gold mood, and it just fits that category 100%.
And it's kind of, you know, some of the songs in the same sort of vein, like, you know, that song Convoy, or even Eastbound and Down from Smokey and the Bandit. It's that, you know, car driving songs, I guess, with whatever. So yes, exactly. Thank you. Ardeen Taylor co-wrote Love Child performed by Diana Ross and the Supremes. Yeah, he did. So, okay.
Be right back.
Okay. Wash your hands.
All right. So I'm going to pick a Lou Reed album. Now, Lou Reed may not be, well, I think, yes. I mean, if you think of Lou Reed in storytelling, you'd probably think of Berlin because it has that depressing story of, well, I don't have to go into that, but this is a later Lou Reed record from '89, which really is a concept record. Now, the funny thing is, when I first got this, I remember reading this on the back. It says that this record is meant to be listened to in one 58-minute, 14-song sitting as though it were a book or a movie. And I thought, don't we always listen to our records straight through from start to finish? Like, really? Who doesn't? That kind of cracked me up. But this is really a concept album about New York City. So, you know, he was dubbed the King of New York by David Bowie at one point. But you know, this record really sets a tone right from start to finish about New York. So it's really a story about New York, although it might not seem obvious in some of the songs. So, but there are a couple of tracks that really sort of nail that down. One is Dirty Boulevard, which is about poverty and about this kid who lives in a terrible apartment that's, you know, it's not very warm. They don't have enough food. And at the same time, you can see the Klieg lights shining up on Manhattan. So this sort of disparity between rich and poor. And it's about a sort of a path that he's inevitably going to take from poverty to poverty and not really get anywhere. I mean, that sort of plays through in a number of cases. There's like Romeo had Juliet about these lovers that, you know, you never know if things are going to work out. So it's all of that. So the star of this album is really New York City, because that's really what the whole thing is about. And I find it really fascinating. I think this was a real comeback record for him because it sort of came back to that straight ahead rock and roll sound that was kind of lost. He name drops a number of people on here like Kurt Waldheim, the Pope, the President, Mike Tyson, Rudy Giuliani gets mentioned. What else? He calls the Statue of Liberty the Statue of Bigotry. All in all, a really impressive. It's my favorite Lou Reed record. And I think there's a number of songs here that would really classify as story songs, but I think the whole album really accomplishes the idea of it being a story from like a novel, like he says. So I think it's really really fantastic record. Although, to be honest, it's a little too long for one disc. So the reissue is 2 records because they cram 58 minutes onto one record, which I think is a little tight there. But I think it's fantastic. If you don't know later Lou Reed, well, is '89 later? But I guess it is really. But this is worth having a listen to. Some people think his best work was in the '70s and then nothing after that. But I think that's not really right. So, Lou Reed.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. Every time I think Lou Reed now, I think Metal Machine music because somebody showed it in the VC. It just makes me laugh every time. But yeah, his 70s stuff is good. I've never listened to his 80s stuff. I should check that one out.
Well, it's hit and miss. Like some 80s stuff I think is really good and some of it isn't. But this is the peak for me. This is I think his best record. So.
All right, what you got there, Daryl?
Let's come up, eh? So this next one, I'm showing this. I'm pretty sure Rob is probably going to show this artist after, and maybe Joe and maybe Brian. I don't know if we're all going to show this guy. At least one of us is. I'm not going to show the big one the big song that everybody would know by him because I only have it as a 45. But probably Canada's greatest songwriter or singer-songwriter ever, and that's Gordon Lightfoot. I'm going to go with If You Could Read My Mind because that entire song is about basically his inability to be faithful with his wife, but it's kind of an apology song, I think, is how it goes down. And basically, if she could see his perspective on how apologetic he is about the relationship and the breakup, that is Gordon Lightfoot in a nutshell. So I don't know if you're going to show the other one, Rob. I think you
I got
might.
it queued up right here.
I almost went with Black Day in July, actually.
Mhm.
That was the other one I was going to go with. That's a true story. 1960s Detroit riots and all of that kind of stuff, and during the civil rights movement and things like that. But I mean, it's got all kinds of good songs. Me and Bobby McGee cover Saturday Close. If you could read my mind, Sit Down, Young Stranger. It's really good stuff. And if you're not familiar with Gordon Lightfoot, I mean, he's probably one of Canada's top 3 singer-songwriters or folk singers, whatever you want to call them. Amazing music. I don't know if what else to say.
Yep, agreed. Are you going to show Lightfoot, Joe?
Nope, I didn't.
Well, I'll go next because I'm going to show it. We'll go out of turn here.
Yeah.
Just because. So, I mean, in my mind, there isn't a better singer-songwriter in Canada than Gordon Lightfoot. Yeah, you got Joni Mitchell, you got Neil Young, but I think Gordon Lightfoot is the best and kind of the one that did it first, I think. So, he has more songs than you can count that are stories. And I went with my favorite on this record, Summertime Dream, which is the Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Yep.
Incredible true story song about the tragic, what was at the time, disappearance of one of the largest Great Lakes freighters that sunk in a storm. It vanished, and it took them a while to find it. I think 26 men died or something like that. I don't remember the specifics, but I mean, listening to that song, it's told from almost the first person perspective of being on the ship. So he had a hell of an imagination and just a great storytelling song. The other one that I could have shown, I only have it on Gord's Gold, which is his greatest hits. 29. Yeah, Trevor verified me here. 29. So
yeah.
The other one I think of when I think of Gordon Lightfoot and his storytelling is the Canadian Railroad Trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely epic. It's a story. So pick half a dozen songs of pretty much any of his albums, and he's telling a great story about something. But for me, after I thought of Adam Baldwin, I immediately went Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. So there you go.
I think the big thing about Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald for me is it's one of the only songs where when it plays, I can actually visualize what was going on that ship in my mind.
Yeah. Or the hall.
Like it paints the picture almost as if you're there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Church bell it rang 29 times. Yep. So there you go. Yeah, I didn't pull any because I assumed that one of the 4 of us would probably get to some Gordon Lightfoot at some point. So yeah, I stopped at the plaque. There's a plaque. Well, there's probably more than one, but I stopped at the plaque when I did that big road trip a few years ago near the Chippewa Falls, and that it's not necessarily where it went down. It actually points and it's got a little bit of information, but it's a somber moment to stand there and think about it. Same trip was Terry Fox and stopping where Terry Fox stopped, and it was these are the types of things that not to get preachy, but these are the types of things that we have to take in and cherish a little bit more, right? I mean, because we've got the guys singing the songs and telling us the stories, but if you get a chance to stop and see something like that, it's pretty crazy. So, yeah.
Yeah. Right. So Black Day in July, I was just looking it up because, like I said, I was going to go with that. It was banned in 30 U.S. states. It was banned. They wouldn't play it because of the connotations involved in it, which was basically the riots in Detroit and during the civil rights movement. They banned it in 30 states. I had read that. It's crazy.
Next up, what do I want to go with? I'll go with this guy. I thought of this one. This one was fairly easy to think of as well. And then I listened to this album today, and it pretty much falls into the story category all the way through, as does, I think, a lot of his material, and that is Chris de Burgh and Spanish Train and Other Stories, specifically Spanish Train, but a spaceman came traveling, even Patricia the Stripper. It's not the same vein as the other ones, but it still tells a pretty good story from start to finish. But I'm not a huge Well, I was going to say I'm not a huge Chris de Burgh fan, but I am, other than The Lady in Red. I never, ever need to hear that song again. But everything else, I'm good with. Again, a good storyteller, put a lot of music out there. His albums they all sound really good. Yeah, and it's just very, very good. So if you're not familiar with, he tells the story of God and the devil playing poker for souls of the dead. So it's pretty good. It's not a light rollicking romp, but if you let it play through the rest of the album, you get Patricia the Stripper. When I used to DJ in the bar, that was always the closing songs. The light would come up and then I'd play Patricia the Stripper, and then that would get everybody either out or on or something. But anyway, Chris de Burgh and Spanish Trains and Other Stories, specifically the song Spanish Train, but the whole album and really the whole catalog from him, Ship to Shore, all that good stuff. So there you go, Chris de Burgh.
I can probably promise that on the next round there'll be a story about another stripper.
There you go.
So stay tuned if that's your bag,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if we could pull off a whole episode about music from strippers. We might be able to. There's a few ode to strippers out there, but it could all just be Motley Crue songs.
I know nothing about it. I've never been.
It's Brian's turn. Yes, I know.
Right. So I'm going to stick with New York, and I'm going to talk about a record that I don't even understand, but it is like a rock opera concept album from Genesis called The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, which the entire record tells a story of this guy, Rael, who through, I guess, some sort of journey of self-discovery, he's kind of like a rebellious youth, goes through some sort of journey of rediscovery or something like this. Now, you'd think I'd have something really deep to say about this record, but this is the Genesis record that took me the longest to get into. And as I say, I really don't even understand the story myself. I just know that there is one. And it's kind of fascinating in a way because there's lots of references to religion and other sorts. Oh, I've got to show you the gatefold here because there is one.
That's right.
So I think it's interesting. I get a sense of the story, but I'm not sure I get the whole thing. But it is there, and other people have probably invested a lot of time and energy trying to figure out what the heck's going on. I don't know, but it's curious. Anyway, there's one of the inner sleeves. So yeah, I don't have a lot to say about it because, as I say, if someone knows this record, please let me know because I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I am about the same boat as you. I've probably listened to it a couple of times, but I don't know if I've ever put in enough work to have any idea. And I don't even remember if I enjoyed it or not, to be honest. But
there's some great songs on here, though, like The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway for one. Fly in the Windshield, they're great. I mean, but The Carpet Crawlers is also fantastic. But as a whole piece, I just don't completely understand it. But it is interesting. Anyway.
Yes. It's cool. I think that's one of the few Genesis records I haven't heard.
Oh, is that right?
What year is that from, Brian? That's 70s or 80s, that one?
No, it's 74.
74, early stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna go back to the 60s. I think this is from 69, 68, 69. And there's a couple of story songs on this album. One is these guys are probably we would classify them as a one-hit wonder. And I think that this song applies to the world today. And I'm wondering how much of the stuff actually is going to come true in the song. But there's a couple of storytelling songs on this Zager and Evans in the Year 2525, which basically is a story of the world and what we're going to become. And, you got to wonder, based on what's going on right now, these guys are probably rolling in, at least one of them is probably rolling in their grave going, this song is going to come true. Really cool guys. And you can tell that they're from that 60s flower power / Vietnam War, that kind of thing. But the song that's the bigger one for me on here, they had a minor hit, and there was a song called Fred. It's the last track on side one. And Fred basically is this child, and his parents try to raise him as best as they can in the modern world. And then they start finding out. And I'm actually surprised the song wasn't banned on most stations across North America. But make a long story short, Fred starts doing things as a child that he shouldn't, such as torturing frogs and things like that. And so his parents become concerned, and then he starts getting into little crimes and stuff like that. So then the military takes him in because they want a gun-toting man that's going to be willing to fight in the Vietnam War. So we're going to train a killer. And so they create this monster of an individual. And then basically the way that the song goes, at the end of the song, he's on a plane and he shoots somebody on the plane because he's happy to kill people. And that's what the song is about. It's a story about a little kid that his parents tried to raise him properly, and he becomes basically a killing machine, which I think in 1969 would have been a pretty controversial song to play on the radio. But yeah, a couple of neat stories in the year 2525. I mean, I think most people know that one. It's a pretty neat song. And you got to wonder with the, I don't want to bring the politics into it, but with the world today, how much of that song is slowly becoming true, because it's pretty messed up.
Pretty messed up is a very polite way of saying what the fuck is going on these days. But anyway, that's not why we're here. So, that sounds like the plot to a Dexter series. They might be able to make that into a Dexter series. That'll be the next iteration that they come up with. I like Dexter, but anyway, this is a band actually that, based off of their hats, you would think are country, but I listened to this Charlie Daniels band album today, and it's some pretty good Southern rock-ish for the most part. It's definitely got some country flavor to it, but of course, Devil Went Down to Georgia is the big one off of here, and probably his biggest, other than Uneasy Rider, which is a pretty good story song as well. One of my favorites, actually, and I haven't been able to find that one. The early Charlie Daniels stuff is a little tougher sometimes, but big crossover hit back in the day. It's been covered numerous times, and the guitar solo kind of stays the same. The fiddle solo stays the same, but just a really good song. And the first couple times you heard it, it was like, oh man, I didn't think that was going to happen. Anyway, I'm talking about myself, but good song. Everybody, I would imagine, is fairly familiar with The Devil Went Down to Georgia. But if you're not, and you like a good story, again, a good devil versus someone story. I don't know if that's a theme I've got going here tonight. I'm not sure or not, but really good. And some great fiddle playing and some great guitar playing. But again, more of a country rock album, leaning a little heavier on the countryside, but still based on the hats. You'd think it would be all country, but I like Charlie Daniels. And I'm not sure who that is on the back, but there's some other dudes on the back. I don't know. That must be, maybe that was his dad or someone. But anyway, Charlie Daniels and the Charlie Daniels Band. Of course, the big one, The Devil Went Down to Georgia, because he was looking for a soul to steal, and he was way behind because he was in a bind, and he was willing to make a deal. I'm not singing it, so you won't get a strike. You're okay.
Thank goodness. Can't afford a strike.
Yeah, that's right.
As promised, a song about a stripper, but we'll get there in a second.
Okay.
A guy that I know, Dustin Bentall and the Smokes, son of Barney Bentall, who was a Canadian musician in the 90s. This was my favorite band for a long time when they were a band, and then they broke up in like 2012, I think. This was their last. This is actually, it's called Orion, You Are an Island. It's actually 2 EPs combined and sort of reordered into an album. It's fantastic rock, country rock, stoner rock. It's really good. I love it. I'm going to be interviewing the Mermaid probably later this month or early in February when we can sort out the logistics, but that's my pal Kendall Carson on the front. Dustin has some good God, I'm sorry. Still getting over being sick. He's got some good storytelling songs. Excuse me. Kind of some American light beer there. A few that come to mind. There's a song in here called "The Ballad of Billy Cowsill." Billy Cowsill of the band The Cowsills. His son Del, who's also a friend of mine, is Dustin's bass player. But he wrote this song, and it sort of tells Billy's life of, as a kid being in the Cowsills and playing on the Ed Sullivan Show, on the same stage that the Beatles played. And it goes all the way through how, he ended up in Alberta and Western Canada, playing in bars in a band called the Blue Shadows. And it just kind of tells the story of his life. God, excuse me. Another song. Why, when I'm trying to talk, is my cough coming back? Another song here called Emmylou, which is about a stripper. It's about Dustin and his brother going to a strip club. And as people are apt to do, the stripper likes me. So, you fall in love with the stripper. No, the stripper likes you because she wants your money. But, another song in here, Every Chord That Rings, it sort of tells the story of, when Dustin was younger and, discovering music and, being crazy teenagers. So there's just some great storytelling songs in here. There's more, but that's what I'll go with. So You Are an Island by Dustin Bentall and the Smokes.
Nice.
All right, we'll go back to Brian. I'm quickly going to go say goodnight to my son, so I'll be right back.
All right, well, this is another artist that I think everyone expected me to show, so I'll just get it out of the way now. That's Leonard Cohen. Songs of Leonard Cohen. And on this particular record, Songs of Love and Hate, there is a song that he wrote which possibly has the strongest narrative structure to it, and that's Famous Blue Raincoat, which is the last track on the album, because it starts off with it's 4 a.m, the end of December. I'm writing you now just to see if you're better. New York is cold, and I like where I'm living. There's music on Clinton Street all through the evening. And he lived on Clinton Street in New York, so there's some truth to it. Song's about a love triangle. The last line is Sincerely L. Cohen, like he's signing a letter, which I find really interesting. But it's a love triangle. He talks about this woman named Jane has a lock of this guy's hair. It's really interesting. He said he was never really fully happy with the song, but I think it's actually kind of a cool track. There's references to, he says at some points, did you ever go clear, which is a reference to Scientology, that whole concept of going clear that's mentioned in here. And because I'm talking about Leonard Cohen, I'll just mention one other record. Well, I could mention any Leonard Cohen record, but New Skin for the Old Ceremony has a lot of interesting tracks, including one of his more famous songs, Chelsea Hotel No. 2, which tells a story of this woman he's having a relationship with in the Chelsea Hotel, which he later disclosed publicly that it was Janis Joplin. It's a true story about Janis Joplin, but it wasn't really known at the time, but then he regretted admitting that. But there's a lot of Leonard Cohen songs which are like love stories in a way, and some you don't really know if they're true or not, or maybe based on things that happened. It's one of those things where he embellishes, I'm sure, but I guess that's where he got a lot of his inspiration from. But so I think I've talked about this guy so many times, I don't really need to say anything else except that I think he was probably the greatest song lyricist out of Canada for sure. I mean, he started as a poet and wrote a couple novels. So I don't know, I find him very interesting, of course. And those are two really interesting songs, especially Famous Blue Raincoat. It's got a nice narrative letter kind of style to it. So
here's Curtis. I keep popping in and out of the stream, and I keep hearing about strippers. I think I asked you before on a stream that we did, and I can't remember your answer, and I don't know why I haven't also watched it. There was a series about Leonard and one of his, I don't know if it was girlfriend and then I'm not sure if it was biographical or not, but it was something on Crave, and I don't even remember what it was. One of those good stories, Joe, where you don't really know much of the details other than it was about Leonard Cohen or loosely based on Leonard Cohen. I don't know, did you watch that or?
No, it's on my watch list. I haven't seen it. But
yeah, I haven't watched it yet either, but I assume I hope they did a decent job on it. And I guess that'll be both our list of something to do, and we'll get back to each other on it, what we thought of it. So
yeah, I mean, it must be challenged. I mean, every time there's like some sort of biopic or series about a musician, it seems difficult to find someone who can properly play the role. This seems like a challenging role to play, but
yeah, definitely. But we'll see, because there's been guys that have pulled it off. I mean, I thought that Taron did a nice job of Elton, and I thought that Raimi did a nice job when he was Freddie. So yeah. Anyway, you watch and I'll watch, and we'll compare notes later.
All right,
Nickelback, you're up, man. You go.
All right. Nickelback is up, but he's not going to talk about Nickelback, but he is going to talk about and this is another case where Rob talked about Adam Baldwin earlier and how he's talked about him ad nauseum and things like that. Well, this is another one Rob and I both champion. And I know Jamie Cottle, his channel, he champions this singer as well. And I don't know if I would call her a full-on storyteller or whatnot. But there is a track on her debut album, which Rob and I have both talked about. We think it's one of the weakest tracks on the album.
I didn't even.
But I'm going to go with Birmingham on this one because
didn't even know where
it's
we were
a
going.
full-blown story. might as well show the gatefold. But I mean, there's other songs that are on here that are fantastic. I mean, Beautiful Goodbye, pretty much a story about kind of a breakup song, I guess you might call it. Promises is my favorite one. I've talked about that. Just this idea that life isn't always fair.
What about Dark Horse? What about
What's
Dark
that?
Horse? Dark Horse, the best song she ever wrote.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You know what I remember about Dark Horse though was like the one time I heard Dark Horse, they played it as a slow song at one of my dances at my high school.
Right.
And it was when me and my ex-girlfriend at the time, her best friend was moving out of the town. And it was kind of like that whole thing. And she was like upset that her friend was moving and stuff. But yeah, no, Dark Horse is a great slow song.
Well, I love it
great
because
story.
it's a great song about two kids that, kids, when I say kids, teenagers, that start a relationship and everyone's like, you're not going to make it. You're not going to last.
Yeah.
And it's a story about how they do. And it's a fantastic song.
Yeah. I went with Birmingham. I mean, it's a story about, a woman in an abusive relationship, and she finally gets the courage to leave her lover and go to Birmingham.
Yep.
I don't know why you'd go to Birmingham, but I guess that's the way she wanted to go. But yeah. And I'm pretty sure if we would have went with Tuesday's Child as well, there's some good songs on there we could have shown as well. So
Absolutely. Yeah. I knew you'd pick that, but I pulled it anyway.
All right. We're going to do a little geography lesson because we're going from Birmingham to a West Texas town called El Paso and Mr. Marty Robbins. Again, Marty probably falls into the category of most of the songs.
Yeah.
And country lends itself, it seems like a little bit more to that. We kind of alluded to that earlier, or at least the songs are a little more on the nose on the country side of things. On the rock side, they tell a lot of stories, but sometimes they mix some other stuff in there. But this is the box set. It's got Story of My Life, white sport coat, and a pink carnation. But yeah, Old El Paso, one of my favorites. Really good. This is a Reader's Digest box set. I don't have many of them, but this is one that I do, and I enjoy Marty. He's not an everyday listen, but I'm in the mood for a little Marty Robbins. I don't know if I'll play all 6 discs. Big iron on here too.
Iron, yeah.
So, yeah, there's some good stuff on this box set. I like it, and I like Marty.
Songs about strippers.
I was trying to find and see if there was something. Yeah, you never know. There might be. They were more burlesque back then, though. I suppose.
Okay, fair enough.
My woman, my wife. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe.
Could be. I don't know. I haven't heard that one for a while. Ribbon of Darkness. That's another. This is a really good box set. I like Marty Robbins. So there you go.
well, in El Paso, who's the Mexican girl? I mean, maybe she
she was a stripper.
fell in love with a Mexican girl.
I think she was a flamenco dancer, though, wasn't she? Or no, that's in Mr. Jones. That's Mr. Jones. That was the flamenco dancer. So never mind. See, Counting Crows tell a story too. So, but it's not as on the nose as Marty Robbins.
That's an album I want to get this year, August and everything after.
Yeah, it's a great album.
Okay. Another one of our most, I would say, treasured singer-songwriters in Canada, I think. Mr. Tom Cochrane. Many storytelling songs. I picked this album, Victory Day. not only to brag that I met Tom Cochrane and he autographed my copy of the album, and I had an incredible experience meeting one of my heroes, and it was everything that I could have hoped for and more. But also, I mean, I think his biggest storytelling song on here, or maybe in his career, is a song called Big League, which is about hockey. It's about makes you think of Daryl. The only way out of this cold northern town is hockey. And it's, these parents that want everything for their kid to be be a professional hockey player. He gets a scholarship on a big U.S. team, one of the colleges or whatever, and ultimately dies in a car accident. I believe it is based on a true story. So it's a great song, but it's a heartbreaking story. It's not an upbeat song, but it's not a somber song. But when you listen to the lyrics, you get to the end, you're like, holy shit, that's a gut punch. But yeah, the man's written a ton of great rock songs, but a ton of great story songs as well. And Big League is certainly one of them. Richard's asking which Tom Cochrane album to start with. I would start with this one, or I would start with Mad Mad World, which I think is the one after this. There's also some great Red Rider records too.
You could go back to As Far as Siam as well.
Yeah,
right? Not
As Far as Siam is the worst album cover artwork in the history of album cover artwork, but it's a fantastic record. But I think I'd either go. This is Victory Day, so I'd either go Victory Day or Mad Mad World or As Far as Siam.
Yeah, it was a story that was relayed to him from a father of the son who's passed away, I think, is the story I remember in my head, whether that's true or not. But yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, and that song always comes back whenever, if there ever is like another, like a tragedy or whatever it is. Like, not that we want to talk depressing, but when the Humboldt, Saskatchewan bus crash happened, it was played consistently.
Well, he rewrote some of the words and did it at their tribute or whatever.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and there's a version of it on YouTube as well, him singing acoustically. So I remember where I was that night. I was at a Sloan concert, actually, waiting for Sloan to come on and play, whoever the opener was, and look at my phone because Joanne texted me or something. She wasn't at the show, and it was like, whoa. And then, but
so that's my favorite experience meeting a musician. The man is a class act above class act, just wonderful guy. So excuse me. I don't know if he did any songs about strippers though.
Avenue A. Well, no, she wasn't a stripper. She was a hooker, I think. Maybe.
Well, that's close enough. There's some strippers.
She might have had
multitask.
A side
multitask.
Hustle. So, multitask. Yeah, there you go.
Got to have two streams of income,
You do.
I wish I had two streams of income.
I don't know that you'd want to earn it that way, though, Brian.
Probably not, but you never know.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with the really obvious one that I thought someone would have shown by now, so I was holding back, but no one has yet. So we'll go with Bruce Springsteen.
Well, he's in my file.
Oh, obvious. You probably show a different record, but
I would.
I mean, really obvious because he has a lot of stories about the working man, blue collar things. And this song, the song I'm thinking here in particular is Rosalita, because it's maybe the earliest. Well, on the first record, there's certainly songs that are kind of stories, but that's a song I think he played at every concert for years. I think he might still do it. It was like a staple of every show because it was so well known, and it is definitely a story from start to finish of. We all know the song. I don't have to go into it, but there's other tracks in here like Sandy, 4th of July, Asbury Park. I think is similarly probably a narrative song. I mean, it's but that song in particular is like one of the first Springsteen songs I probably heard and still enjoy it to this day, even though it's overplayed possibly if you listen to classic rock radio. But I mean, just pick any Springsteen album and you'll find a song that probably has a story element to it, like Meeting Across the River, on Born to Run, whatever. And there's lots of them. So it's hard to pick just one, but I'll just mention that track because I think it works really well and it's a pretty cool song. So, yeah.
I mean, even his arguably his biggest hit, "Born in the USA," is about a disillusioned Vietnam vet coming back home, going, "What the hell is my country turned into?"
Yeah, and he can't get a job for sure.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll show a different one this round. So. Okay. Daryl.
Okay. I'm going to show, I know not everybody on this panel is into the grunge scene, but I am going to show an album that I know I've shown this before, and I think the reason I showed it is the song, particularly, I think, educated society in North America about what was going on maybe in schools, some of the traumas that were going on in schools. So I'm going to show Pearl Jam's, what's the name of this album?
10.
I don't even know. I forget what it's called. Anyway, Pearl Jam's album, but I'm gonna talk about Jeremy. It even came with the whole music video and stuff. And one of the first songs that I recall that I guess really talked about bullying. It's about a teenage boy that was bullied through school, and then for all the trauma he went through, he decides to shoot up his classmates. Right. I could have went with Pumped Up Kicks, but I don't have that song, and neither here nor there. But a funny story: my school plays music between classes, and the former vice principal we used to have didn't realize what Pumped Up Kicks was about.
Yeah,
played it between classes, and then one of the teachers called down and said, "Listen, you need to turn that off. It's about a school shooting."
I'll tell you about
play it with the kids walking in the halls, But anyway, as depressing as it is, this album, or at least that particular song, Jeremy, I think kind of the storyline behind it awakened North American society, what was really going on. Though I don't know, as a teacher myself, like up here, I don't deal with it too much, but I don't know how much has been resolved in the case of severe bullying in some schools, and we know that it goes on. So anyway, the story goes that Jeremy was a kid being bullied and took matters into his own hands.
All right.
Yeah, there was not really a lot of that type of discussion in songs, that specific anyway. You can look back to the Boomtown Rats. I Don't Like Mondays had obviously that sentiment to it as well. But
I Don't Like Mondays, and I know as controversial as he is, Marilyn Manson did Get Your Gun, was about forget his name. He was, I think, a abortion activist that was killed. Same kind of idea.
Yeah. All right. Where can I go? Let's lighten the mood a little. Let's do that. Let's go with a little bubblegum rock. I like these guys, and they are Paper Lace, and specifically the song is The Night Chicago Died. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that. That's kind of a staple of the 70s gold, early morning stuff or whatever. The other one on here, Billy, Don't Be a Hero, also a story song about a guy that goes to war and his girlfriend telling him not to be a hero because she wants him to come back home. But The Night Chicago Died, about the riots in Chicago. I mean, again, it's not exactly light talk, but fun stuff. This is from 1970. Good Lord, I always do this. 74. So, and it's just pure bubblegum rock, but it's good and it's fun and it's good to hear every once in a while. I'm not exactly sure that I would put it on all the time, but I certainly sing every word because I know every word when it comes on. I sing along to it, and it's just a fun song. And then it's got one of those twists in the middle of the song. Oh no, is Dad coming home? Oh, there he is. He walked through the door. Spoiler alert. Sorry, I should have spoiler alert for those that have. We should have said spoiler alert at the beginning of this. We're talking about these songs. Because I remember one of my, and I shouldn't say it. Is anybody going to show the Kinks?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, well then I'll
no, probably a different song, but I might not get to it. So go ahead.
Okay, so one of my earliest musical memories was hearing Lola for the first time, and then as the song goes along, hey, this is pretty cool. And Lola was a man. I was perfectly fine with that, but it was a great twist at the end. So yeah, there's some fun songs like that. I'm not sure that The Night Chicago Died is a fun song. Well, it is, but anyway, I digress.
I think one of the weird ones from that time period too was that song by the Boys, Timothy, which turns out to be about cannibalism.
Yeah. There was some poppy, bubblegummy stuff about some weird and whatever. Yeah, you're welcome, Trevor. It is definitely an earworm. Yeah, yeah. Daddy was a cop. All right. Mute.
Thank you.
There you go.
Because Brian showed Bruce, I'm going to show Bruce. This is the third record I thought of instantly when I thought of storytelling. Springsteen's Nebraska, I've talked about this album a lot. I mean, everything on here is a story, right? I mean, the title track is about a guy named Charles Starkweather, who was a murderer that killed 11 people, something like that, and went on a murder spree in Nebraska in 1958, I think it is. My favorite song in here, Open All Night. It's about a guy in his, hot rod car making a midnight drive across New Jersey because he's got to get to see his woman. All of these songs are stories about, sort of snapshots of American life. So one of the best storytelling records, I think.
And in the end, you just got to find some reason to believe. I watched the concert the other night. I think we get a disc in the box set, but it's on Disney as well. I put it on, and
I still haven't watched it yet.
Good? Yeah, it is.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
No, it's good.
Spoiler alert: he plays the whole album.
Yeah, that's right.
So, okay. We'll go around again. As soon as I hit the right button. There we go. And there we go.
All right.
Nice.
So I picked a track from a band that I'm not really sure they're known for stories, but this one struck me. It's one of the ones I thought of pretty quickly. It's Telegraph Road from Dire Straits' Love Over Gold, because it tells the story of, industrialization, prosperity, boom, bust, disillusionment, all in one epically long track. I can't remember how long it is, but it goes through the whole cycle, I guess. And I was inspired by a trip down a particular road. I think it was called Telegraph Road, that they were driving down. I think Mark Knopfler was in a bus driving down that road, and it sort of resonated with him, especially given where it was. I can't remember what state it was in, but it sort of made sense to him that it would be a good song to write a story about. So it's 14 minutes and 28 seconds. So not your typical pop song. I don't think it was played on AM radio, but I think Industrial Disease may have been. But
yeah, Industrial Disease was, yeah.
But anyway, it's a song I've always liked. They have a couple other epic, tracks like Romeo and Juliet, which is interesting as well. But I think this one is probably the only. I guess, not the only one, but I think it's maybe their signature story song, because it really kind of captures the mood and the transition from various states of economic development to the bust years. So I think it's kind of an interesting one. And I don't really think of them I don't think of them in that way. I don't think of Dire Straits as being, a storytelling band, but that is one song where they seem to do it very well, I think.
Yeah, and you get a nice, clean, good copy of that album, and you can crank that song up, and it sounds so good. It's very, very well done. That's a great album. I mean, it's the one, and we've talked about this before. It's the one that came after the big one, right? So it's one of those. But
yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Right back.
All right, this is the big one. This is the one that was inspired by Joe, who just left. So we're gonna talk about one of Canada's greatest bands.
Oh,
Nickelback.
I'll be back later. Let me know when you're done.
But Joe mentioned that he had listened to this song yesterday. It was on the radio. So I got my Nickelback's best of lyrics on the inside, 2 disc set. But there's a song that they did called Animals. Now it's not a stripper song, but it's definitely about getting laid and making sure that she doesn't get caught, but I think that they do. So some of the lyrics go as such. I'm driving black on black, right, Joe?
Yep.
Got some Nickelback going here.
I can hear you from where I go. When I go away, I can still hear you, and so I was excited to come back.
I don't know that I could.
He just got his license back. He's feeling in his veins. This train is coming. I'll ask polite if the devil needs a ride, because the angel on my right ain't hanging out with me tonight. I'm driving past your house while you were sneaking out, and then your mom don't know that you were missing. She'd be pissed if she could see the parts that I've been kissing. So
it's a full story. Hey, it's a complete story. It's the beginning of the date.
It's a complete story
of the date and the end of the date.
I'm basically sneaking around and getting drunk and having sex. That's the whole song.
It is. But it's a story, though. It's a story.
It's a great story. Oh, did I mention that it's one of Canada's greatest bands?
I've heard that before.
Let's just say they're one of Canada's bands, and let's leave it at that. And even that is, that's a stretch.
All right, where can I go from there? Let's go with, because we haven't yet, and maybe someone else will get there as well, but I am going to go with a little bug music. And where I'm going to go with is I'm going to go off of the White Album and one of my favorite Beatles songs, which is Rocky Raccoon, because that is 100% a story about a raccoon that comes into town and has a gunfight with someone. So obviously, John, Paul, George, and Ringo wrote a lot of songs that told stories, not so much at the beginning, but they got into it a little bit more at the end. And then they got into it, I think, a lot on this album. But again, I've always enjoyed the song Raccoon when it comes on. I listened to this album again yesterday or the day before as I was sitting down here in the basement, that is. But Helter Skelter, like there's a lot of good songs on this album. And Rob, I know you and I have discussed favorite Beatles albums and that you are a fan of the White Album. There's
love it
right off the White Album for no other reason than they have listened to number 9 and think the rest is not worthy of anything. But yeah, like I said, Rocky Raccoon for me has always been one of my favorite Beatles songs, along with the rest of that album, actually. So
my favorite Beatles songs on that record as well. One nobody listens to. Everybody's got something to hide except for Me and My Monkey.
Me and My Monkey. Yeah, I know.
Love that song.
Yeah. Oh no, it's good. It's good. Like I said, it gets a lot of grief, and it shouldn't, because it's different for sure. But there's a lot of really, really good stuff on the White Album.
Admittedly, I'm a massive Beatles fan. When I was 15, 16, getting into the Beatles, that was the last album that I got into because I did not understand it for a long time.
Sure.
This is crap. It's all disjointed, but that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. It always had If My Guitar Gently Weeps. So you start with that. Yeah, exactly. That's the exact way that I feel when I think of that song. It's like, oh man, that's such a great song. I think great song. So yeah, it's an album that is an acquired taste to some, but when you get it, I guess you get it, or you don't, maybe not. I don't know, but
I've told the story. I had an aha moment. I did not get it, and I was in Europe with my girlfriend at the time. I think I was maybe 19. We were visiting her dad who lived in Switzerland, and there was me and her and him and her stepmom, and we were driving from Switzerland over to France. We're driving through the Alps, and it was playing, and her dad and I talked Beatles the whole time. Like on that trip, we went to Abbey Road, and, whatever. And we were debating about the White Album, and I had heard it before 3 or 4 times. It was, I just can't get it. He's trying to explain to me why it's great. And I don't know why, but for some reason, when Your Blues came on, it's like a light switch. And I just said to him, I get it now.
Yeah.
It's real. I'm like, yep, I get it. It's brilliant. Yeah. Yep. I love it. I could listen to the White Album every day and not get sick of it.
Yep. That's saying something.
Yeah. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, my turn. I'm going to go with one of the greatest storytellers there is. And, I mean, we got to talk about Summer of '69.
We do.
We do. Richard, if you're keeping score, get out your pencil. I'm doing this, have to be a smartass because this is Joe's favorite song, and this is the running joke every week. But also because Summer of '69 actually is not a bad storytelling song. No, it is not about the summer of 1969, and Brian has said that. It's about something else. But aside from that, it is a song that we can all relate to. You know, those teenage years. He bought his first guitar, and they had a band, and you know they were going to go places, but ultimately never did. And you know the scene about the lyric about him standing on his mom's porch, and you know the girlfriend leaves, and it's all, you know, all the shit that we've all been through, sort of common shared experiences of being 18, 19, 20, or whatever. So I think it is actually a good storytelling song. So, but I showed it more just because it's Joe's favorite song. So
We got to get it. We got to get it in once every episode. It's got to make its way into somehow. It's got to work its way in. And so far, I think it has.
I think so. That's not actually the record I was going to show this turn, though. I said it more to be, and I'm going to do a twofer because I can. You all recall I talked about Adam Baldwin at the beginning. I said he was inspired by somebody else, and that's this guy. It's hard to see, but that's Stan Rogers. And we've talked about him on the channel before. A lesser-known folk singer, much in the vein of Gordon Lightfoot. He's a storyteller, and he wrote a lot of songs about you know, sort of Eastern Canada, and Adam Baldwin was inspired by this guy. So I don't know which one to point out specifically, but he tells stories. That's all he does. And they're wonderful. Unfortunately, his life was cut tragically short. Died on an Air Canada flight coming back from the U.S. that burst into flames on the tarmac, and he died on the airplane back in the 80s. And this was released posthumously by the CBC. But if you're into Canadian music, you've heard of him. If you're not, you probably haven't. This is called From Fresh Water. So just a great person that sort of epitomizes that storytelling singer-songwriter tradition. So that's my serious pick for this round.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. Brian.
Okay, so this is perhaps the second record that occurred to me, and it took me this long to show it, but this is Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, Murder Ballads. So I'm sure many people know that the traditional definition of a ballad is not simply a slow song. It's actually a song that tells a story. So I know that it really has two meanings now, but traditionally I believe that it was a song that tells a story. So this bizarrely tells us, has a bunch of murder ballads, which are both new and traditional. So there's traditional murder ballads that Nick Cave covers here, and some new ones that he wrote just for the purpose. But I think it's hilarious. Kind of write a new murder ballad. It's pretty funny. Came out in 1996, and to be honest, I had never heard any of the traditional murder ballads before, but they're very entertaining. In fact, the first track starts off with something like, I will tell you a story about a man and his family, and I swear that it's true. So that kind of sets the tone for the record. But the ones that are probably quite popular are Stagger Lee. And again, I'm not the most knowledgeable person about any of these songs, but that's I think it's traditional with some embellishment from Nick. And there's some guest stars. I have to look at this because Kylie Minogue appears on one track. PJ Harvey appears on Henry Lee. And then the last track, which I think is hilarious because it goes through all these horrific stories of death and whatever. And then the last track is the cover of Bob Dylan's Death Is Not the End, where Bob Dylan actually appears along with Shane McGowan and that's Anita Lane. I don't know who that is, but PJ Harvey, Kylie Minogue. So it's a really interesting record. The O'Malley's Bar song is like 14 minutes long. It's a really epic track of stanza after stanza of just despair and whatnot. So unfortunately, the package is not that great, just two plain white inner sleeves, but it's a really fantastic example of some really interesting ballads. I just love the fact that it's old and new murder ballads. It makes me laugh. Still, it's hilarious, but it's really entertaining, I will say.
All right, good one.
Nice.
He's the only musician that a track came on and literally scared the crap out of me because I'd never heard it before. And just the way it was sung, absolutely.
Yeah.
The album has a Red Right Hand on it. I can't remember the name of it, but anyway, it's got another song. I think it's called Murder or something. It was just terrifying. Yeah. All right. I've talked about this band before many times on the show. It's my favorite alternative band for sure. But they're storytellers. My favorite bass player ever is Les Claypool and his band Primus. And I mean, these guys just come up with all kinds of crazy songs. I'm going to go with, the Pork Soda album. The song Bob is about a guy who's struggling, and so he hangs himself. DMV is an entire song about sitting in line at the DMV and how boring it is.
Yeah.
The old Diamondback Sturgeon I actually used as a high school presentation in English class. Basically, it's about what happens. It's from the perspective of a fish getting caught in the fish line, and him getting caught. The song "The Pressman" is about this guy who just sits in his house, and that's all he does is he sits there with cigarettes in his mouth and he types on a typewriter, and he's just the most boring individual ever. So that's from this album alone. But if I was to talk about the Sailing the Seas of Cheese album, there's a track on there called Sergeant Baker, which is about an army sergeant who's just completely militant. It's an entire song about that. Jerry was a race car driver. And if we go with Tales from the Punch Bowl, there's Mrs. Blaline, which is about an elementary school teacher who's a harsh teacher. There's, of course, Winona's Big Brown Beaver, which we find out later on is a porcupine. So
That's right.
it's a complete storytelling band. Les Claypool and company with Primus. I could go on and on. They even redid the entire Charlie and the Chocolate Factory as a concept album, and a little book by the Desaturating Seven. So it's got all kinds of crazy stuff.
I have to say,
right on, Brian.
I was to say, of all the music you show, this has got to be the outlier. I love Primus, but it doesn't seem to fit. It makes me laugh. Yeah.
There you go.
He's amazing. Claypool's amazing, and I know I've talked about this on here before, but if you're new and you haven't seen his interview with Rick Beato, you got to check it out. I mean, it's a fantastic, fascinating interview about his bass style, about the history of Primus and his history. It's just amazing.
Awesome. Brian, I don't know if you're watching or just listening, but look, I still got my Tokyo Record Style, the other Brian, not Brian on camera, the other Brian. Got my Tokyo Record Style sticker. I'm not sure where to put it yet. I'll see. Maybe right there. Maybe right there in a place of honor. Maybe that's what I'll do. Okay, I am going to go with a gentleman. I don't know. We've had a lot of long songs. I'm not sure if there is. I can't remember what you said. One was 17. I can't remember. Anyway. Arlo Guthrie and Alice's Restaurant is a long, rambling song about a Thanksgiving that Arlo Guthrie once spent with his family, about going to the dump and the dump not being open and going to see the judge and the whole 9 yards. It's a deal. It's a thing. I don't know where the time is on here. And this is a greatest hits. So I'm not sure if it is cut down in any way, shape, or form, because on the actual album, which I thought I had, but I looked and I didn't, there's the label. Motorcycle's a good song too on here. Arlo, much like his dad Woody, a bit of a storyteller. Alice's Restaurant on here is 18 minutes and 30 seconds. So no, that is not the short version. I think that is the version. So if you haven't heard it, I'm not sure you necessarily need to, but if you listen to it, it's kind of an interesting, fun listen, at least once. Again, it's about him, Thanksgiving, needing to go to the landfill and the landfill not being open, and then having to go to the judge and talk to the judge and do a bunch of other things. So Alice's Restaurant from Arlo Guthrie, also another artist where you'd be hard pressed to find a lot of non-story songs actually if you're listening to Arlo. So there you go, Arlo Guthrie.
All right. I got another artist here like Joe who is you'd be hard pressed to find songs that are not story songs, and that is The Band. Robbie Robertson, known for writing a lot of storytelling songs, and the first one that came to mind off of Northern Lights, Southern Cross, is Acadian Driftwood. So, you know, Daryl mocked me at the beginning of this, but I do have a history degree, so screw you, Daryl. This is about the expulsion of the Acadians, who were French Canadians in Eastern Canada when the British took control after the fall of New France. They were told either swear allegiance to the king or get out. So they got out. They all went down to Louisiana, and that's where the Cajun culture comes from. The word Cajun is actually a bastardization of the word Acadia. So there's, you know, that's the first thing I thought about there was Acadian Driftwood. And then the other one I thought of instantly, I think probably their most famous storytelling song off of this, which is my favorite, is The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down, which is Robbie Robertson from Stratford, Ontario, writing a first-person narrative of the fall of Richmond in the Civil War. You know, because that makes total sense.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Sure.
It's about a Southern family when Stoneman's cavalry came and took Virginia, you know, or took Richmond, I should say, and how the oldest son died in the Civil War. It's heartbreaking, but what a great story. I mean, it sounds like it was written by the descendant of someone from, the South, but it's, a guy from Stratford, Ontario. So there's a ton more examples of the band being great storytellers, but those were the two that popped into my head right off the hop. So
great choices.
All right. We have about 12 minutes left because I want to finish on time because we've got Daryl's show afterwards. So we'll go around one more time quickly, and then we'll wrap this up. So,
all right. So one of my favorite,
two or three, whatever you want there, Brian.
I'll just do one because this is the Hold Steady, their first record. Getting things backward here, called Almost Killed Me. Now, the Hold Steady, I think they're fantastic, and their second record is a full-on concept record about characters called Charlemagne and Hallelujah. But what many people may not know, if you don't know the band, is that they appear first in this record. So this is a record about substance abuse, losing faith, meaning of life, near-death experiences, all that sort of wrapped up in little vignettes. Like, I wouldn't say there is these songs do have stories, but you take them all as little vignettes and it pastes together a really interesting view of the life of these characters. So, for example, like Hallelujah and Charlemagne and Craig, the narrator, who happens to be Craig in the band. It's actually interesting because it's one of the few bands outside of Leonard Cohen and rap music that reference themselves. So the end of the first song, they say "Hold Steady," and the starting of the fourth song, they say "Hold Steady, Ybor City." So it's like a mantra to hold steady to get through these tough times. So they mention their band name more than once in the songs. Anyway, they're all very interesting tracks about life in the Twin Cities, really. So fantastic. So kind of little each song is like a little story in a way, and it was re-released on this beautiful blue vinyl, which is kind of cool. So I just think this band is underrated. More people should know them. I think they're fantastic. And so that's all I'm going to say about that. Let's go on.
Right. Well done. Daryl, what you got?
Okay, I got like 4 or 5 left here, so I'll go over them pretty quick. So here's a Canadian, I think he's a singer-songwriter. He's definitely a folk singer. We don't talk about him very often. I don't think we've ever talked about him. That's Murray McLaughlin. He's got a song called The Farmer's Song, which literally is the account of a farmer farming his fields and farming the wheat and all that kind of stuff. So it's an entire story about that. I think he borders on the countryside too, but he definitely is a Canadian folk singer, and of course it's on the True North label, so doesn't get any more Canadian than that. I will be the third person to talk about the boss, I'm going to go with the Tunnel Love album. I'm going to talk about One Step Up, which to me is my favorite song on here. But it's about the breakdown of his first marriage, and anybody who's ever related to the breakup. Waking up in the morning, the house is cold, and nothing's going your way. Richard, if you're keeping score, I think it's tied now. So Glass Tiger, this is Diamond Sun. The title track is highly praised amongst Indigenous people in Canada. It's basically about, the story about the taking of Indigenous lands and stuff like that. Why don't we talk about the newest lead singer of Styx, Gowan, and The Criminal Mind, which is my favorite song by him, taking, a story from the perspective of a criminal and how he can never be rehabilitated because it's the only life he's ever going to know. Last two, not ashamed to say I've got some Richard Marx. And this is the Rush Street album, which has the song Hazard on it. And Hazard is about a guy who we will never know because in the video they don't actually clarify it, but he is believed to have committed a crime but have been falsely accused of committing the crime. And it's his perspective. And then last but not least, Elton John's Reg Strikes Back. There's a song on here called Another Word in Spanish, which is a story of a guy who doesn't speak a word of Spanish, but is trying to have a relationship with a Spanish woman. So
is she a stripper?
Flamenco.
Maybe.
Flamenco.
Okay. Joe.
All right. Brian's and Deadheads Unite. Yes. We did talk about the Dead a little bit. We did talk about Bob earlier on in the show. So we have not forgotten. Speed Round, Harry Chapin, Cats in the Cradle, Taxi. I like Taxi actually a little bit more than Cats in the Cradle. It's it's less sad. I'm not sure if it's less sad for Harry, but it's less sad overall. Gentleman that wrote a lot of somewhat story songs. Sometimes he was talking about hot legs. Sometimes he was talking about older ladies named Maggie May. But in this case, The Killing of Georgie, parts 1 and 2 on here. I believe a true story. I'm not sure if it was a friend or it was related to him by a friend. But The Killing of Georgie, first cut is the deepest, which is a Cat Stevens song. So, but good stuff as well. Rod Stewart, I like Rod. Always good stuff. A little bit of something different from him all the time. But again, stories, whether it's about hot legs or whether it's about The Killing of Georgie. Here's another guy, hard pressed to find a song not story-like. This is just such a great album. I know I've talked about it before, but I'll mention it one more time. And if all you know from Warren Zevon is Werewolves of London, you need to find some more because it's very, very good. Roland the Headless Thompson Gunner, Excitable Boy, speaking of bad things with good songs, Excitable Boy on here as well. So Warren Zevon is a great one to check out. I got two more. I've got this one, which is a lovely album. I listened to this today, and this is a fantastic, fantastic album. This is a German pressing that until I got it a couple years ago was still in the shrink wrap, came over from Germany, was not unshrunk, if that's a word. That's probably not it. But over to Billy Joe, Bobby Gentry, Billy Joe McAllister jumped off a Tallahatchie Bridge will maybe spark a memory. And then one of the best, I know I've said that about a lot of these artists, but one of the best is Mr. John Prine, Sam Stone, just everything on this album, which was kicked it all off, but then everything that came after it is very, very good. But again, do me a favor, if you have not heard the song Sam Stone and you want to hear a good storytelling song and a good song, just listen to that. I kind of like he does it a little differently live. And if you go on YouTube and you listen to Sam Stone, it's just a little bit different than it is on the album, but it's still fantastic. It's I think it's him from Austin City Limits. There's a couple of different clips, but there's an Austin City Limits one where he does Sam Stone. Sounds fantastic. Great song. Unfortunately passed away a few years ago from COVID, which is a shame because he was still out there and doing things and still collaborating with people and doing a lot of things. So it's unfortunate. So, and yes, Richard Warren does have a lot of great songs. Again, unfortunately passed away a while ago now, but inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Not that I give a shit about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but I'm glad that he's getting some notoriety and some and some flowers. So that's great.
Okay. Richard, we have Bryan Adams won. We have Glass Tiger won. What's coming next? Gotta do it. I gotta do it. Blue Rodeo. Not as many storytelling songs as you might think, but if we're going to talk about anything, we're going to talk about 5 Days in July. Specifically, the song on here that is called 5 Days in May. It's called 5 Days in July because this was recorded over 5 days in July, and has nothing to do with the song 5 Days in May. That's a great song. It's inspired by a story that Jim Cuddy heard, but essentially it is the story of a couple that met, in a shelter during a hurricane, and after a hurricane, they went out to the beach, and he held her hand and he wrote her name in the sand, and ultimately, they stayed together, and despite all of, life trying to knock them down, they made it through. That's a great story. There's another wonderful story on here called Bad Timing, which is another Jim ballad about, a relationship that just couldn't happen because the timing wasn't right. Great story. Hasn't Hit Me Yet, which is Greg's song. And it's, there's a great imagery of, standing under a streetlight, watching the snow fall, and, thinking that same snow was falling in the middle of Lake Ontario. Just some great storytelling songs in here. There are others, but those are. Okay, so here's a funny one. I'll spill the beans on this one. There's a song called Cynthia, and it's about a woman that Greg fell in love with, and they were in Alberta, and they went to Pyramid Lake, got stoned, and were trying to watch for UFOs. That did not happen. It's completely made up. I know for a fact. I've heard it from Greg. Cynthia is a real person, but the Pyramid Lake and the UFOs it did not happen. Greg has never even been to Pyramid Lake, so that's a very funny story. But yeah, some great. Oh, I got to show the inside because it's gatefold. There's the fellas right there in 1992, I think. 93 when this was recorded. So there you go.
We should probably add, we should probably add Springsteen to the tally list, and he'd probably win every week because we all tend to talk about him. So
you probably would. Richard's like, I got too much scorekeeping today. Richard, you were slacking off tonight, so I don't know what to do. I might have to find a new scorekeeper.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, we got 3 minutes. Let's go around the horn real quick. Bryan, what's going on over at the Wild World of Embryonic Robot?
I haven't even done a video this week, so I'm gonna do probably a recent finds video, but I have nothing else planned, so that's my boring answer. I have no idea.
Fair enough.
It's been busy. Let me just say.
Fair enough. Daryl, what about you?
Kind of the same as Bryan. I put out multiple videos last week. I had lots to talk about, but nothing this week. Pretty much coming to exam time at my school, so it's getting a little busier. So I don't know. I'm not taking a break, but I'm not making videos either.
And you, Joe, you should plug what's going to happen in about 32 minutes.
Yeah, I have put out twice as many videos in the last couple of weeks as I put out 6 months before because I've done 2. The most recent is a little VCLT that I got from our friend Chris Mann. It's got a little bit of the promo of the thing that we're talking about, and then it talks a little bit about the new band that I discovered in the last little while from here in town. But in 32 minutes or so on this channel and on mine, it's going to simulcast on both. We're going crazy here. We're going to try and get up into the thousands as far as the viewers go.
Absolutely.
What we're shooting for on 2 channels. We're going to do the revamped version of the game show concept that I came up with a while ago. It's a little bit different than it was before. It's a lot different than it was before.
A lot different.
Yeah, it's kind of like Rock and Roll Jeopardy. We just can't call it that because that would be wrong, and then people will give us grief and things will happen. So Rob and Daryl are the full-time guests. contestants, and then we're going to have someone on every week, every couple of weeks. Pardon me. We're not going to do it every week. We're going to do it every second week after our show, 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern, and so tune in. Come to my channel, stay right here on Rob's. We'll be back in around a half an hour. It's going to be a little bit of fun. You can play along in the comments, join in the studio audience, and yeah. Or if you're tuning out now and you're going to bed, you can always watch it later and play along. And then if you want to join in for future episodes, let me know, and it'll be fun. So that's coming up 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern on mine and Rob's channel.
Looking forward to it. I did my vinyl tag a couple weeks ago. I have to do Daryl's Canadian Stereotypes vinyl tag. That's the next one. I have it all planned. I just have to shoot it. Then I've promised Sam I'm going to do his Americana vinyl tag. Then there's a new Beatles vinyl tag. I'm going to do that. And then I'm vinyl tagged out. So it may take me a bit because life is busier right now. So, but I will get to Daryl's Stereotype one within the next week. And then, hey, Sam's just tuning in. Sam, I'm going to do your Americana tag probably at the end of next week, so about a week from now. So just life's busy right now. So, but I am going to get to it. So that's it, folks. We'll wrap this up for now. If you're interested in 30 minutes, Joe's new and improved, much better, and a hell of a lot more fun. Not that the first one wasn't fun, but
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Game show is going to be on in a half an hour. You can watch it here, or you can go watch it over on Joe's channel. So you'll see Daryl and I back then. And our special guest is Scott, DJ Vinyl Vertigo, is joining us tonight.
That's
so
right.
That should be fun. So for those that joined us tonight, thank you very much for tuning in. We love chatting with you every week. And for those that are going to watch this later, thanks for spending a couple hours with us. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good night, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Take care.
Night.